What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the inaugural episode of the Chasing the Pack podcast. I'm your host, Chase Lacombe, and on this podcast, we are going to discuss all things Green Bay Packers, regular season, postseason, off-season, everything in between. A lot of our content is going to be geared around the Packers' opponents, around the NFC North, and so we're going to see a lot of discussion about other teams that aren't the Green Bay Packers from here and there, but usually it'll be the opponents, that we have coming up on the schedule and other teams that have specific implications for the Green Bay Packers and what could potentially happen, with their seeding and the rest of their season. So first off, I just want to thank you for being here. This is a brand new podcast, and this is something that I've been looking forward and thinking about doing for a long time. Just never got around to pulling the trigger. As you probably know, there's a lot of reasons to never pull the trigger, never start doing what you want to do, talking about it. And, everybody for years has said, maybe you just got to start this. You just got to get out and start talking about it, begin it. It's we're in the middle of the season right now. We just had the Thanksgiving game against the Lions. We're going to get into, that plenty. But I just really want to thank you for being here. All probably 10 of you, including my mom. Shout out to my mom. Yeah, she's probably here, the first one watching this. So I hope this channel is going to grow. I intend on having a lot of fun guests come on, a lot of exuberant Packers fans, as most of us are. Some of them are in the media. Some of them are not. Some of them are just very diehard people that I've known for a long time that actually should have been on. Well, there's probably a good reason that some of them weren't on television or any kind of sports channel for as long as they haven't been. But those are the best kinds of people to talk to at a tailgate and at your favorite Packers bar watching the game. And they always seem to have, just the best real insight. A true Packers fan is going to tell you how they feel about the Green Bay Packers and, and everything going on with them. And not sugarcoat it for a camera, for the media. That's your buddy with a pint in his hand at the bar going, hey, I don't really think, but well, all right, we won't have those guys on, but we're going to have a lot of fun guests throughout the season to come on here. And there's already a good lineup of people that have shown a lot of interest in jumping on this channel and helping to promote it, helping to grow it. So I hope that you will do the same. And I hope this is some place that you can come to kind of vent about the Green Bay Packers. And, maybe we're venting off of a loss, but also we're here to celebrate a win, right? And that's actually what we are here to do today. So I really appreciate you all being here, and let's dive into it. We are about 2 days removed from Green Bay's win over the Detroit Lions, and oh my goodness, what a statement win for Green Bay that was. That was the one that we have been looking for all season long. We didn't win by 27 points. We actually won by more than 27 points for once, right? Who would have ever thought? 31-24 over the Detroit Lions. The Packers moved to 8-3-1 on the season. That still keeps us at the 6th seed because we are living in the future, not just in the the first moments after the game, but the Chicago Bears and Philadelphia Eagles game has already played. We all know how that went for Chicago. And so the Packers remain the 6th seed currently in the NFC playoff race. But we currently sit 2nd in the NFC North behind Chicago. So that is, we have several of those games coming up that we are going to, have to get through. But we're going to discuss the future schedule later on. But let's talk about this win that we just saw Green Bay put together. This game that Matt LaFleur just coached and orchestrated against the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving in Detroit after having won 2 in a row to three-peat on Thanksgiving. That's almost unheard of, and I believe it's since this is the first team since for the Packers since 1950 that this has actually happened. That there have been 3 wins by a team, on Thanksgiving, and I tried to look back up at the to see who the quarterback was there, and it looked like it was just kind of a smattering of names. Once I got past the third one, I was like, okay, I'm not going to write all of these down. But this was our first sweep of the Detroit Lions since 2000, and that doesn't go without saying. That's a big statement. We've had a lot of trouble against against Detroit over the last several years in one way or another. And last year going 1-5 in the division. This year we're already at 3-0, so we've tripled our numbers. Job not done. There's a lot of work left to do, but again we move up to 3-0 in the division, and really, I thought this game came down. It comes down to a lot, and we'll get into those. But a lot of this, I thought it came down to was the play calling by Matt LaFleur. This was the all gas, no brakes, scared money don't make money game that that he talked about in his presser a couple of weeks ago. That we were like, so where's it at? And now, we finally saw it. We saw it come to fruition. And I think that there was a lot in his play calling in these last couple of games that probably left something to be desired by it. But I think a lot of times it came down to execution and not necessarily the play calling. When it works, looks great, right? But whenever you call a play and it, the drops, 7 drops against the New York Giants a few weeks ago, a lot of that was not on the play calling at all. So I think Matt LaFleur he got his team back together, and all of the coaching staff there. I believe that they were able to kind of calm the storm of drops and easy mistakes. And if you can negate those, if you can wipe those out, then all of a sudden your game plan and your scheme and what you're trying to do against your opponents starts actually working. And you start to see these drives that instead of stalling out on a 3rd and 2, and you go for, a 1 or 2 yard loss rather than a 2 or 3 yard gain. And you have to end up punting the ball away after, you needed to get that score back. You've got to turn that tide back around. I think that there's a lot about this game that Matt finally got back to you saw the idea, you saw the game plan, you saw what he was trying to do, and a lot of these, and he's been very successful over this season and some, obviously in a lot of his seasons, but specifically in this season with this team, with Jordan Love, where he's at this point in his career, I thought you saw a lot of these things start to really click into place and start working for the Green Bay Packers. I think that the decisions to go for it on the 3 4th downs, that's aggressive play calling. That's extremely aggressive play calling. And this is what everybody's been, the praise of Dan Campbell has been over these last few seasons with him in Detroit, that everybody, his praise, this is 4-down football for Dan Campbell. And he's not afraid to go for it. And you saw that in this game. He had the same aggressive play style or play calling style as Matt LaFleur did in this. The difference really was it worked out for Green Bay and it didn't work out. So does Matt LaFleur look like a genius for being able to put all of this together and being able to execute on those 3 play calls? Where does Dan Campbell look like, a fool? And is he, he's just, overzealous and overly aggressive? about his play calling now? Well, he's been praised. He has been praised in the media, national media, for, well, as long as we've been talking about Dan Campbell being praised in Detroit, we've been praising his play calling and his aggressiveness on those fourth downs specifically to really drive that Detroit team forward and be the powerhouse in the NFC North that we've seen it become. But this year that we've seen the Packers start to finally learn from their mistakes, and sometimes they're making all new ones, and they're having to learn from those too. But so is every other team around the league. So I want to get into this game, but I really just wanted to say that I really think that Green Bay this year, and specifically in this game, you started to see all of these pieces really start to fit together in the puzzle. This is where we saw Jordan Love really start to take off in the second half of the season 2 years ago, and really start to become that next franchise quarterback for the Green Bay Packers that we all, were, fingers crossed, hoping that he would become. And we started to see those flashes in that second half of the season. Maybe the second half of the season is where Jordan really likes to shine. That's just where he, starts to kind of really get into gear. And honestly, that's where you want your quarterback and your team to really start to put everything together, is in the second half of the season. Right now, we're seeing Philadelphia struggle a little bit. We're seeing their steps begin to falter, and specifically just big loss, for them against Chicago 2 nights ago, and that was that. So we're seeing these teams that are really hot and have super high expectations at the beginning of the year and the beginning of the season begin to kind of lose their step and tread. And every team can do that, or every team will go through that level of adversity at some point in the season. But it's how you recover from that, and can they recover? We've seen Philly have these issues before, and really, they come out hot out of the gate and then all of a sudden start to really deteriorate down the stretch. And it makes it really hard for a team like that, who is, vying for a 1 seed, really trying to make another Super Bowl run. It makes it difficult to do. And this is the time of year that teams need to get hot. And we're starting to see this from Green Bay. Green Bay is on a 3-game win streak. Chicago is on a 5-game win streak, if memory serves me, and they have also won 9 out of their last 10. We can talk about Chicago, and laugh about the Bears all day long, and and laugh at them, and wish this was 1985 again, don't you, buddy? Well, right now they're having a real good time in 2025. I tell you what, sitting, high and pretty, atop their high horse in the NFC North right now, while everybody's laughing up at them and they're laughing down at us. But in the next 3 weeks, we have 2 very pivotal games coming up against Chicago. I think these next 3 weeks are really going to tell the tale of where the NFC North lands and how this all shakes out in this division. And I think that this win over Detroit for Green Bay was a very big step in getting there. I think it was just as important as the win that we had to have over the New York Giants, in week 11, just, 2 weeks ago. So with this, let's go ahead and just dive into this game. Jordan Love had an absolute feast against the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving once again. And at least this time against the Lions, he finally got his turkey leg, right? Well, he got it last year, but not against the Lions. So Jordan Love goes 18 for 34, 7.8 yard average, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions once again on Thanksgiving, took no sacks, and had a rating of 124.2. 0 turnover worthy plays that he even threw. This was a phenomenal game by Jordan Love. This is what we needed to see from this quarterback, was to really not put the team on his shoulders, but really go out there and be the leader for this team and have the poise to take this team forward against an extremely tough opponent in their house on Thanksgiving. This was a Super Bowl matchup. I mean, well, we couldn't have this in the Super Bowl, but this is as close to a Super Bowl matchup that you could get between the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions. Thankfully, the NFL likes to schedule the Thanksgiving games with the Packers and Lions, pretty often. So we do get to enjoy these games, and it's nice to have this type of game, not just this type of victory. The victory made it all that much sweeter, but it's great to have these types of games where both of these teams are really hungry. They need these wins. They're in the hunt. Green Bay was just a little bit, ahead of Detroit. And I think Detroit really was, potentially had, more to lose from this game than Green Bay did with a loss. And there were several factors, I believe, that went into Detroit really not being able to put this together. But Jordan Love absolutely played out of his mind once again on Thanksgiving Day. That was a phenomenal game. By the way, Jordan Love, now this is a little just not to do with the game, but another little sneak stat in here, a really cool little plug. Jordan Love's stats for the last 10 indoor games that he's played. Okay, so last 10 indoor games. He is 21 touchdowns to 1 interception. Let's say that again. 21 touchdowns to 1 interception in his last 10 indoor games. He has a 116 passer rating average in all of those 10 games, and threw at least an average of 240 yards in every one of those games. Is Jordan Love an indoor quarterback? We have him for the Green Bay Packers, and we pride ourselves in being, the cold weather team, come into the frozen tundra. These other teams, if you get the Dolphins late in the year or something like that, or Tampa Bay, or, I don't know, Arizona, you bring them in here into the cold, and that's supposed to be an advantage that the Green Bay Packers always hold, is being able to really play tough and strong in the cold, having sure hands whenever your fingertips are freezing off. But man, he does real good whenever the bright lights of a dome are over him. I think so. That was a fun little stat I wanted to throw out here. But for him on Thanksgiving, I haven't seen anyone better on Thanksgiving, especially just putting it all together on Thanksgiving. So for his 3 Thanksgiving games for the last 3 years, Jordan Love is 61 of 90 for 776 yards, 9 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a 128.4 passer rating, and has taken 0 sacks. This is a man who loves turkey legs. I think he's a turkey man. He's got a hunger, and the only prescription is more turkey legs for Jordan Love. And boy, did that man eat today. So, Toyotathon may really be a thing for Jordan. He's pretty great during this time. In the end, I was going back to what I was saying about Matt LaFleur and his play calling. I really think that he put the ball in the hands of his quarterback to go out there and win it. And he really showed that in his play calling and in his belief in Jordan, to let Jordan go out there and call this and go out there and win it. Matt was quoted was saying after the game that we have two plays here, speaking about the third down and the fourth down at the end of the game for the touchdown. And he said, we have two plays here. Go win it for us. So he put that in the hands, that trust. He put the ball in the hands and said, go win it. The game is yours. And, there was the third down incompletion. And then it was like, I gave you two. The game is yours. And boy, did he go out there and do it. We'll talk about those plays here in a little bit coming up. I wanted just to run through Josh Jacobs, 17 for 83, 4.9 average today 2 days ago on the ground. That was a phenomenal game for him. He really got off to an extremely hot start and allowed Green Bay to really develop the game plan that they had, or that it wanted to run going into the game, I believe. It really allowed Matt and company to execute that, having Josh really hit those plays, break those tackles, do Josh Jacobs things, the things that we have been looking for and hoping to see, we would see flash. I mean, Josh is a great running back, but I think that there's been a lot of meat left on the bone for Josh, and he knows it. I think he knows it. He's very well aware that there was a lot of room left for him to run, and I think struggles with the shuffling of the offensive line all season long have really just made it very difficult to really get anything magical going. He's been more than serviceable. Green Bay's got a winning record right now. I mean, we're in it. And Josh has been a huge key for helping us to get there. But I think in this game, we really saw a lot of those plays really start to open up, just breaking tackles. I don't know if Josh was like, I'm hungry, man. Like, I tell you what, if I can run that far, the further I get, the closer I get to a turkey leg. So he was just seeing white stripe after white stripe after white stripe, and guys were just bouncing off of him left and right, spin moves. He pulled every trick out of the book that he had, and it was just glorious to watch Josh Jacobs do what Josh Jacobs does best, is Josh Jacobs things. So that was, I think Josh was really pivotal and key in getting Green Bay's offense started hot on that first drive, going down, taking a 3-0 lead, and making Detroit have to play from behind right away. They did not get the stop. They got the stop eventually, and held us to 3, but Green Bay still put points on the board. And so right away you're playing for, at least a field goal. Detroit is to get right back to, just even keel. Just restart the game again and 0-0. It's tie ball game again. And Detroit was never able to do that. And I don't know how much, but I do believe that impacted in some way their level of play calling. Maybe not, so early on, but also this is the Detroit Lions. This isn't, the Houston Texans, or the Jacksonville Jaguars. This team has aggressive play calling no matter what the score is, no matter if it's, their first drive of the first quarter and they're only down by 3. They're one play away from having a 4-point lead, and just, opening, the top off of this. Other notable here, Dontavian Wicks was 6 for 94. The touchdown catch, I'm not even really sure what a touchdown catch is anymore, to be honest with you. I'm glad that we got it, and the NFL says it's a touchdown, so I guess we all just learned what a touchdown looks like all over again. It worked out for Green Bay's benefit. I think we would be screaming if that was Detroit, that got that. And we're like, okay, 1, 2, I can count to 3. And I got to, 2, and I get, 2 feet down, but the first one is the first one that usually it's the first step, then a second, maintain possession and all. And this is a new era. This is a new NFL. So, hey, it's great. I'll take it. Defense. Let's talk defense. And where else do we start but the new god in Green Bay named Micah Parsons? Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Jerry. I cannot believe that this man plays for the Green Bay Packers. And he just became what arguably the greatest of all time at his position. Like, he just surpassed Reggie White, the greatest Green Bay Packer to ever do it like that. Like, nobody does Reggie things. Well, nobody does Micah things either. This man had 10 pressures on the day. I've seen 10. I've seen 8. I'm going with 10. It looked like 10. It was 10. 2.5 sacks. He was everywhere. I think what Jeff Hafley is able to do and has been doing with Micah Parsons is something that Dallas was never able to do, or not really hone it in and really sharpen that. I mean, Micah Parsons was Micah Parsons in Dallas, but there is, who knew that Micah Parsons had another gear that we were going to see? We were just hoping he would play as well as he has, his whole career so far. But what we have been seeing from him is we've been seeing Jeff Hafley be able to utilize him all over the field like a chess piece and just move him into different packages, different schemes, different looks. And it is making fits for teams to scheme against. No one is double teamed and triple teamed in the NFL more than Micah Parsons. And it doesn't do any good. You could just send the whole team down there and he's still gonna find a way. Just absolute acrobatics of just bending over. I'm looking at his knees and his back going, people don't bend that way. That's not the way humans are designed to move and to flex. And especially if you watch it in real speed, like, and not even the slow motion zoomed in, like if you're watching that in real time, it is incredible that the human being can move that fast. And he's doing it. These aren't chumps that he's doing it. He just embarrassed one of the best left tackles in football twice in a row, and many times throughout the day. It was just an absolute outstanding and absurd performance from Josh Jacobs Micah Parsons. And what he is doing right now in Green Bay and what Jeff Hafley is able to do with him, we're watching some of the best football ever be played. This is like watching prime Ray Lewis and stuff again. Like we're seeing some of the, and Reggie White. We're seeing some of the greatest football play that you're going to see. This is some prime Peyton Manning, football. Man, we are seeing some of the best football from Micah Parsons right now at that position that we ever have. And one more time for the record, can we all say it? Can we all together now? Thank you, Jerry. What a game changer. What a game changer he is. On the field, in the locker room, and off the field. And him and Jordan Love are doing a lot of work for the homeless right now that I've been saying. I thought it was just Jordan Love, but I guess Micah really got in on it as well. And that's great for them. That'll be something that I probably talk a little bit about more in an upcoming episode I want to, on this channel, I want to mention a lot of the work and help promote that for a lot of the players. My wife actually works with a lot of NFL players. She works with Edgerrin Cooper, is the one Green Bay Packer that she works with. But yeah, dude, my wife will come in and she's like, yeah, I just had a phone call with Edgerrin Cooper, and they will talk every day. But brief backstory: my wife works in helping young NFL players to manage their money, so that whenever they're starting to get these big first contracts and they're seeing all of these millions pour in, and they're 20 years old, 21, 22 years old, and they you see a lot of NFL players go broke, and they don't know how to manage their money, how to spend it correctly and invest it, and really save for the future and make their money work for them. So that, after their time of their career in the NFL is done and they're done playing football and they hang up their cleats, they are still able to live, and not just for the next 3 to 5 years, and really utilize their money wisely. So there's a lot of work that a lot of the Packers players do around the community there. And I know that obviously a lot of people probably in the Green Bay area, I hope, will be listening to this podcast and will begin tuning in. And hopefully this will be a place that I can hope to kind of relay a lot of the information with some news and notes, probably later, towards the end of the episode, or episodes that will kind of highlight some of the stuff that Green Bay and a lot of the players are doing around in the community, specifically things with things that you could actually go and take part in or could help with, and not just, things that, hey, they just did this and that was great, but, like you can't go see it or help or donate or something. But, so hopefully we'll be able to, plug a lot of their work that they do around the community. Another person that I want to highlight from this game, and really from the last 2 games, is Isaiah McDuffie. How he has been playing for the injured Quay Walker while he has been out really has been phenomenal. We needed Isaiah McDuffie to step up and really, you can't fill Quay Walker's shoes, right? We don't have a player who can fill that role completely. But we with Isaiah, he is doing a phenomenal job. You see his name pop up on a lot of these plays. Here, actually, I think I mentioned him on some of these key stops and sacks with Micah Parsons later on. But yeah, with Quay being out since the Week 11 game against the Giants, Isaiah McDuffie has really been great stepping into that role and filling that hole there. So one of the things that I really wanted to discuss in this game, really what I thought was the one big major key to this game, in really explaining how close it actually was. Let's go through this real quick. Let's just break this down. Total plays for each team, 60. Total yards, 359 for the Packers, 352 for Detroit, a difference of 7 yards. Passing yards, 234, 233, a difference of 1 yard. Rushing yards, 30 for 125, 30 for 119. Both teams ran the ball 30 times, a difference of 6 yards. Passing first downs, 11 and 12. Rushing first downs, 5 and 7. Penalty first downs, 2 and 1. Well, really the stat of the penalty is the penalty yards. There was only 22 yards, penalty yards that Green Bay had in this game to Detroit's 20 yards, a 2-yard difference. Here's the big difference. Fourth downs. Fourth down efficiency. Green Bay was 3-0 on fourth down efficiency on the day. Detroit 0 for 2. That's it. That's the difference. That's it. That's the only Major thing. That is how razor thin of a margin it is in the NFL. That's what it takes. That's how hard it is. That's all it can come down to, just that. Other than this, or other than that, these teams were statistically equals. Through the end of the game, they were going just shot for shot. Basically, Green Bay had the early lead and they held on to it, but that mattered a lot. Yeah, Matt LaFleur really just he coached Dan Campbell's game. He was the guy who was, he was aggressive on fourth down. It was, hey, you're playing the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving in Detroit. You got to play Detroit football. So we played Detroit's brand of football and we ran it right down their throat. And the fourth down efficiency was really the one key that was the turning point. I didn't put this in. There are no turnovers other than the 2 turnovers on downs from Detroit, but no. There were some fumbles, but not turnovers. Some other keys to the game. Jordan's play. I thought he had a lot of poise, a lot of calm. And he was able to really come back, and resettle after making a couple of bad throws. He was 2 for 2 to start the game, and that with Josh Aiken really got things rolling. But then all of a sudden, you start to see, several incomplete passes in a row, and you see Jordan just kind of take a deep breath and recenter himself, and then pretty soon you started to see Jordan with crazy eyes, and he started coming out of the gate and really. Yeah, I mean, he just had a fire. There was a couple of times, man, he looked up from a play and it's like, ooh. Jordan is not walking away with an L today. That man is going to win this game for this team if it kills him. And he really did. I thought the O-line protection was pretty good today. It's improved. Really, I think this is one of Green Bay's really kind of Achilles heels right now, or potentially could be. I think there's a lot of work left to be done on the offensive line. I thought the play that they had today in protecting Jordan was good. They kept him clean. He mostly had a clean pocket to work from. There was a little bit where he had to work outside of it, but for the most part, I think they did pretty good, in keeping him clean, and they kept him, off the ground. So Micah Parsons' sacks, they all came at the right time. I mean, he got them. He can get them on first down, and then they can, chunk it, 25 for, and they did several times. Detroit had several big plays in this game, but I think Micah Parsons' sacks they really came at the right time, and it just made it that much sweeter. Thank you, Jerry. Also, the Packers held the Lions running back Jamar Gibbs to 87 yards. Oh no! Listen to no here. Not today. 87 yards on 29 carries in both combined games against Detroit or against Green Bay this season. No touchdowns and only had a 3.0 yard average. His stats against the rest of the NFL, removed from Green Bay: 146 carries, 932 yards, 6.4 yard average, and 10 touchdowns. And in the 2 games against Green Bay, had 87 total yards on 29 carries and no touchdowns. Jeff Hafley is really, really putting it's really putting it together on the field. The run defense has been one of Green Bay's really high points this year, and it showed out again today. And if Green Bay has any hopes of really wanting to make a deep run into the playoffs, they're going to need that line to really play that well against the run for the remainder of the season. That's just there are some really, really good running backs out there, and they're going to get theirs. But Jamar Gibbs today did not feast. Special teams, I thought special teams is okay in this game. Brennan McManus was 5 for 5, one field goal, and made all 4 of his extra points. They didn't kill us. There was, I will say this. There was a difference in about 6 yards a play, on the punts and then 6 yards doesn't matter here. They started on the 31 versus the 25, so what's that, one run and all of a sudden they're at the 31. Well, you add it up through the course of a game that was so very close statistically in every stat in the box score it's 50 something yards. That's an extra 50 something yards. That's half a football field that just came out of, nowhere seemingly, just a couple of kicks. So while the special teams didn't kill us, they certainly didn't make it any easier for us. Some injuries in this game. Injuries did play a role in this game. Devontae Wyatt out with an ankle injury, looks like a fractured ankle, and we're hearing that there is some ligament damage as well. That was what we were fearing. We were hoping it was just kind of a clean break, and while he's not going to be back this season, but the healing process and the journey back would likely be a lot better and cleaner and easier. But he sadly did not, or was not able to. That wasn't the case. So while he is lost for the season, that could potentially leak into some games next year. And he's 27 years old. Yeah, that's not an injury at 23. So hopefully he's able to come back. Hopefully it's not nothing's torn. It's just strained. Or I don't I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be. But we can kind of discuss, some of these injuries here. Colby Wooden, Carl Brooks, he's still out with ankle injury. Warren Brinson, those are 3 players that can step up and are going to need to step up in a big way to fill in for him. Right now, Nazir Stackhouse is a possibility to help in for Brooks, but yeah, that's a huge loss right now for Green Bay. Brinson has been getting a lot more playing time. Recently I didn't look up his recent stats though. But for Detroit, the loss of Amon-Ra St. Brown early in the game, I thought was huge. That was absolutely huge. That was a big move for Green Bay. That really, I think, kind of swung the tables potentially. That made Detroit really have to kind of pivot offensively, and I mean he's one of the best receivers in football, this year, and he's top 5 and top 3 in targets, I believe, and he's got a couple other really hot stats. But the injury update on St. Brown is it doesn't look like it's going to be too bad or too long term. So I'm not. He looks like he's not done for the season, so they could potentially get him back if they sneak into the playoffs, Detroit. But right now they're a game and a half back. Sitting at what would be the 8th seed from Green Bay. So I don't know. But speaking of injuries, though, we have a lot of Green Bay Packers players coming back from injury. I can't even memorize all of it. I got to read this down. All right. Matthew Golden. You have LVN. Carl Brooks. We just mentioned him. Savion Williams. Nate Hobbs. Quay Walker. Javion Reed. That's a lot of players coming back from injury. And, I mean, it sucks to lose Devontae Wyatt, in this game. But if you told me that you're gonna lose Devontae Wyatt, you're gonna beat the Lions on Thanksgiving, go 3-0 in your division, but you're going to lose Devontae Wyatt. But you will get back Matthew Golden, LVN, Carl Brooks, Savion Williams, Nate Hobbs, Quay Walker, and Javion Reed. I'll take that bet. I'll take that bet. I'll take that. Yeah, all day. I will take that. But this is the ebb and flow of the NFL. No team is uninjured. Everybody's got injuries, across a lot of star players this year. And it hurts, man. Like the game is better with those players in there. The game is more exciting. It's better football. It's better quality football for everybody, for every team with these players in there. So you hate to see whenever some of these injuries happen, and the loss of Tucker Kraft, Devontae Wyatt, Elkin Jenkins, that sucks. It just sucks, man. And so it just, we've been able to kind of pivot and move forward, without them, but it's a lot. It's a lot more fun to watch a win whenever they're in there. But it doesn't make anything any easier. We've got some players in the practice squad that I'm sure that are, likely going to be, getting some phone calls and a call up, to fill in some of these roles. But yeah, we'll see. So some things to clean up. I want to go through real quick. The officiating needs to be cleaned up on both sides of the ball. That just goes without saying. Matt LaFleur's timeout. I think we all know what that really was. That was Matt getting away with one. And he knew it. He alluded to it whenever asked about it in the press conference. He was like, "What do you think?" Gave a little wink, and that was, of course, yeah. We all saw it. You see Anthony Belton jump off sides, and immediately Matt LaFleur is calling for it, and flags are going. But they got together and decided that Matt got it off, and that was a 4-point swing there. We ended up getting the touchdown on that drive, so that was definitely, we got away with one there. The no call PI on Christian Watson. The ref is right in front, of it. The photo was great. I love the photo because that just really shows that he's just like, where else are you looking? Where else would you look except right? That's where you can clearly see you looking right at him, looking at that hand pulling down, and Christian Watson is going up, trying to make a one-handed grab. Like no receiver is going to be trying to make a one-handed grab. If he's trying to make a one-handed grab, like, what is going on with the other hand? That's the first place as an official you should probably be looking, is at the defender's, hands. Where's he got it? And why is this NFL receiver not going up with both hands to catch this ball at an absolute very pivotal point in the game? That was on a, third down. And you can clearly see the hand holding it down, and everybody saw it. We all saw it. The ref saw it. Everybody saw it, but no flag. So while we get away with some, we don't get away with some. You can just say, okay, well, everybody got theirs, but I don't want it. It's the blatantly obvious calls are the ones that I really wish could get cleaned up. You get away with a little one. Somebody did. I mean, Detroit holds in every play. That's how Detroit plays football. That's how that team plays. So they're going to do all of that. They're going to hold you on every single play. And you could call it every single time, but they're not. That's how Detroit plays football. But it's the blatantly obvious, ones right in front of your eyes. Can we clean that up? So, the last one, I think, Watson on the deep ball. I think that was a good no call on that one. So I think that's one that the officiating got right. You can see he had it looked like a little bit of a push off, but he didn't extend the arm. It didn't really move the defender, at all. So I think that was a good. I mean, the ref was right there on the sidelines. You could see him running, step for step with them both, and I thought that was a really good no call by the officials on this one. The another thing to get cleaned up. We talked about the Romeo Doubs fumble on the goal line. But Romeo, if you're listening, you better stuff Rasheed Walker's stocking this year, buddy. You better, Santa Romeo better leave Rasheed Walker a very nice gift in his stocking over the mantle this year for recovering that fumble and saving your butt. Razor thin margins, man. That's how close these things are. That was a moment in the game that really could have turned this game all the way around. That really could have. So yeah, that could have been very bad for Green Bay on that fumble. Drops and penalties were for the most part removed though from the game that we saw 2 weeks ago against the New York Giants, where Green Bay had 7 drops. I thought last week Green Bay did a really good job of cleaning that up, but we tend to go back and forth, with this team sometimes. Whenever we think they got something cleaned up, it's like, oh no, you just you just got lucky, and then it's not like you learned your lesson. You learned how to play football and avoid those types of penalty drops and things like that, errors. Unforced errors that really causes Green Bay to shoot themselves in the foot, again and again. I thought that in this game, we did a really good job of cleaning a lot of that up. Another thing that we really need to clean up, and I'm sure Jeff Hafley probably had a good little stern conversation in the locker room, probably, with Carrington Valentine for that shoulder hit. Buddy, my brother, Valentine, you got to wrap up. You got into this league by knowing how to tackle in football. That's what you do for a living. You're real good at it. I've seen you do it. And throwing that shoulder hit into that, that's not going to get a Detroit line. Was that Williams? I forget who was on that. I think that was Williams. On the drive, that's not going to take him down on Turkey Day, buddy. So that's got to get cleaned up. I'm sure he's probably got a lot of, conversation, and definitely whenever the Packers get back into the film room, I'm sure that one will be one of the ones to discuss. Because honestly, there was not a whole lot that really went, super wrong for Green Bay's defense. So I think one of the best things that you can do is have a few things to really as points of emphasis, for coaches to work through. You need to have a couple of mistakes, to try and coach and clean up, the next week in practice. It's good whenever everything's, working right. Not everything works out all the time. Yeah, everything doesn't work all the time, I think was probably what I was trying to say. But I want to go through the drives for Green Bay real quick in this game. We started out with the field goal, and that drive died due to the 3 incompletions from Jordan Love from the Lions' 27-yard line. So that resulted in the field goal. Then we went, let's break it down real quick. So we go field goal, punt, touchdown, halftime, touchdown, punt, and then first down in the game. All right. So field goal, punt. We had the, Bo Melton ran for 1 yard, and then, the incompletions on 2nd and 3rd and 9. Green Bay really just, the drive died right there. And this was whenever we were starting to see Jordan Love early in the game really kind of start to struggle a little bit. And he had to pull that back together. On the next drive, we go touchdowns. We had Josh Jacobs' big run for 29 yards on 3rd and 2. And then there was the penalty on Detroit for holding on a 3rd and 4 that gifted Green Bay, a fresh set of downs. And lo and behold, all of a sudden, we're right back in it. And then Jordan Love's pass to Devontae Wicks on a 4th and 3. Phenomenal. Just an absolute phenomenal pass that you have to fit that into the tightest of tight windows for that play to work. And it did. And he did. And the play call from Matt LaFleur on that to go for it, I thought was just, it was just ballsy. And that's what we've been talking about, this whole time. That was one of those, the play calling by Matt LaFleur and the decision to go for it on a 4th and 3. Next drive, touchdown. It's the one where Jordan Love fumbles and then tries to become Superman. And, I don't know what he was doing on that play. I mean, he was just trying to save it, man. I didn't even know if he could throw it at that point, if it was already, if the ball had progressed. I guess he was okay too. We didn't get it was just, it ended up being an incomplete pass, on that. And then on the very next play, he hits Wicks for 18 yards. Luke Musgrave goes 23 yards, up the right. And honestly, hey man, that was great. He looked a little crafty out there. Really did for a moment, man. It looked like Tucker Kraft was back on the field. I had to squint for a second. 4th and 1, hits Romeo Doubs for the touchdown. Just great drive. After halftime, the Lions get the ball to start, have a turnover on downs. Josh Gibbs goes for -3 yards on two carries with stops by Isaiah McDuffie on both of them. So Isaiah was in on both of these plays. And then you see, I think it was Parsons and Edgerrin Cooper who were popping in on the next one there. Next drive, another touchdown drive. On the second play, hits Christian Watson for a 51-yard moon ball. At this point, the Lions had really kept answering back and really kept it close throughout the game, I thought, to this point. A punt, which was the only real punt for Green Bay in this game, I thought. This was the one with the Christian Watson no call. That pass interference. That was that killed that drive. And then, on the next one, Jordan Love, he hits Wicks for 16 yards, and that's end of game. It was an incredible night of football. It was absolutely just heart pounding to watch the entire time. There were just a few other little notes, from this game. When Green Bay this season, when Jordan Love has thrown no interceptions, when we have not turned the ball over by Jordan Love's hands, the Packers are 7-0. That is a stat that we need to keep rolling. And Jordan Love has been phenomenal taking care of the football. I thought Aaron Rodgers was the GOAT of that. And man, it just looks like this dude is just following in the same footsteps. Remaining on the schedule, we host the Bears. We are at Denver, which is going to be a huge matchup at Mile High. That in the cold, in the snow, in Denver. Denver is on fire right now. That is going to be an extremely hard game. And I think that, usually an AFC, NFC matchup, there's not too many, other implications, just for your conference. It's, it's an interconference game. I think this one is going to have just major, implications for the rest of the NFC just because of where Green Bay sits. So, with a win, Green Bay keeps right on moving, keeps right on rolling. But with a loss up there, it doesn't change the record, the conference record, but wins with only 5 games left left on the schedule remaining that wins are at a premium. You really can't afford to lose too many of them. Then we go at Chicago. That's going to be an epic late season matchup in Soldier Field. And this game, already in my mind, I'm already starting to think of the game in 2013 to win the North. This is going to be, and I know it's not the last, game of the season. It's not the final week, but I think this game is really going to be extremely important, especially these next 3 weeks in determining the NFC North. Then we have the Ravens as our last regular season home game. I say home game because I'm saying that we should have some postseason home games, hopefully. Either hosting a wild card or, and depending on just how the chips fall and with the seeding, and maybe a number one seed gets knocked off, in the divisional round, it's potential that Green Bay could end up hosting 2 home games. So these games are going to be really, really important in determining that. And then to close out the regular season, we will be at Minnesota. It's a tough stretch. We have a 1-day rest advantage against Chicago. It's not a lot because they played on Friday. But right now we have a 93% chance to make the playoffs per the New York Times. So we have a 73% chance to win the division, and only a 6% chance to still secure the number 1 seed. That got a little bit easier the other night with Chicago's win over Philly. The number 1 seed does, but it just makes the division it just makes it that much harder to really come away with. But again, these next 3 weeks are going to be just pivotal. So break it down like this. Over the next 5 weeks, if the Packers get 3 wins, any 3 will do. The Packers have over a 99% chance to make the playoffs. With 4 wins, it's even greater, over 99% chance. But then we have a over 99% chance to win the NFC North as well. However, one of those losses cannot come against the Bears. We would have to sweep the Bears with 4 wins in order to have over a 99% chance to win the NFC North if we win 4 games. So have to sweep the Bears, have to win 2 more, but cannot lose 1 to the Bears. And that would essentially grant us the NFC North. The other teams to cheer for this week, I suppose, Minnesota, the Browns, and the Panthers, all to win. And lastly, I'd kind of like to close out with this. Did we play Detroit at the perfect time in both games this season? I kind of think that we did. I think that, if we had played Detroit week 3, week 4, I think that very easily is a loss for Green Bay. I think playing them week 1, nobody's got the right cleats on, so to speak. Nobody's got their dancing shoes on, quite yet. The training wheels are still on a little bit. They're, a lot of your starters, and really superstars or heavy hitters did not play in preseason. Week 1 to me is a preseason game. It is a preseason plus game. And I don't know why they would have scheduled the Lions to play the Packers in week 1 and already have that, because both of these teams came into this year with huge implications, and hopefulness of making a Super Bowl run this year. Absolutely. And to put that in a lot of these, a division race or a playoff race, like what we're seeing right now with Detroit sitting just on the outside, like those 1 games can have huge implications. You may find yourself 1 lost too many at the end of the year and you're sitting on the couch watching the playoffs, while everybody else is, is out there trying to make, a deep playoff run. The North really, I believe, is what matters most, winning the North for Green Bay. I think that's the most important thing. It starts with sweeping Chicago or really beating. You got to take it one game at a time. But I think these next 3 weeks are really, really going to be what tells the story of this division this year. That's going to do it for me. If you've enjoyed this episode and you'd like to hear more from me in the future, I'd love for you to please hit that subscribe and notification bell. That would be awesome. I'd thank you so much for being here. And that would really help a bunch. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to doing this again more with you all in the future. And go Pack Go.